Feel like we could all just go home now. We've been blessed by that lovely music, Chris. Good morning. You guys, we've almost made it through January. Let's hope February is better. I'm Nan Erbal, and I just welcome you to worship this morning. And thank you to Chris, but also to Dean Beery for doing all of our tech. And we have the extra little candles out this morning in honor of the 11 souls that we lost in the last half of 2025. Thought we would just leave those out for today. Just so you get ready, our first hymn is going to be number 407 in the red hymnal. Okay, we're across the crowded ways of life. And we will not sing verse 3, but all the others. Now you're going to have to remember that for a couple minutes. You can do that. Yeah. Here's a bio for Marilyn. We welcome, this kind of completes our month of Timbercrest resident speakers, and it has been glorious. It has been, we've learned things about one another. Marilyn grew up in rural New Paris, Indiana, attended Maple Grove Church of the Brethren, New Paris, and played piano and organ at Maple Grove and New Paris Churches of the Brethren. She served on Northern Indiana's District Youth Cabinet during high school and attended Manchester College for 1 year. She graduated from Ball State with a BS in nursing in 1969 and then married Galen Dick Groves that year. They adopted 3 children, had a surprise biological daughter, and fostered 2 teenagers. They had custody of 2 grandchildren for several years. Marilyn worked at St. John's Hospital in Anderson, Goshen Hospital, and Elkhart County Health Department, eventually serving as the manager of WIC and Children's Health Clinic. In 1994, she graduated from IU Indianapolis with a pediatric nurse practitioner master's degree and worked as a nurse practitioner at the clinic and later at Oaklawn Psychiatric Center. She was a member of the Goshen, Indiana Toastmasters, membership chairman, and speech judge at Concord High School. She joined Manchester Church of the Brethren in 2020 and filled a partial term as fellowship chair. She's a member of the Seniors for Peace Steering Committee here at Timbercrest since 2020. She attended On Earth Peace, Kingian Nonviolence training at Camp Mac in 2022 with a special interest in the gun violence prevention. And since 2009, Marilyn has been a master naturalist for Indiana. I love it. I love it. So we're ready to sing number 407, but don't sing verse 3. And then keep your finger in, because at the end we will sing Lord, Let Us Now Depart in Peace, which is 680. 407. We're across the crowded ways. Oh, 198, I'm sorry. My fault. Something says 407. What was it? The page number? A different hymnal. Who knows? Thanks. I remember both numbers, and there was some confusion. Clearly.
Good morning. Thank you for your singing. That was nice. That was kind of what we're talking about here. Did any of you ever taste oil of herbs? Did your parents ever give that to you for a vitamin? Oil of herbs. Well, I don't know if the doctor recommended or the Watkins man, but my parents used to give me a spoonful of sugar with these drops that turned a pretty yellow color. And oh, that sugar, the grains in my mouth, I can still smell the oil of herbs. Well, I'm sure it had not been rigorously scientifically studied, but they felt better because they thought I was so pale and skinny. They needn't have worried about the second one. Now, I'm going to a speech therapist, and on the recommendation of one of her patients, she said, why don't you try Reflux Gourmet for your voice? Reflux Gourmet comes in a tube that I squeeze in my spoon. It looks like an oily earthworm. It tastes like motor oil. It is not, and it has not been rigorously tested either, but I'm trying it because my voice, I'm told, has diminished this gravelly sound from reflux disease. If you can't hear me, I am perceiving that I am echoing through here, but if you can't hear me, please hold. Can you hear me better now? Okay. How many of you have been to Kingian nonviolence training? Would you hold up your hands? 1, 2, 3. Very good. Well, I'm preaching to the choir, which I imagine most people that get up here are. But the On Earth Peace group is a branch of the Church of the Brethren that promotes peace and justice activities in the denomination. And this is an area of spiritual practice that I've always leaned toward. When the challenge was put out to train a number of people in the church, calling it Kingian nonviolence, it was based on Dr. Martin Luther King's nonviolence activities in the civil rights era. The training was held at Camp Mac 2 years ago, and I signed up. Last Monday was Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s birthday, a national holiday, and Sunday is the beginning of Black History Month, so it seemed like this was an appropriate time to review the way he lived and what he taught. So his first principle was probably the hardest. Nonviolence is a way of life for courageous people. Now, I don't know how many of you would hold up your hand to say you're courageous. I would never describe myself as courageous. I've always been shy, and I'm certain a lot of other people have been shy in their life here too. Jesus, though, showed us the way to overcome the reluctance to do what is right, even in frightening circumstances. Now, I can remember several sermons throughout my life that applied to this. In the Beatitudes, Matthew 5, Jesus taught us, "Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven." If we humble our spirits before God and say, You're in charge of everything. I'll do the best I can. Then we're in the kingdom of heaven where God is, and he will protect us. I recently read online someone asking for guidance on how to be brave, and a book titled How to Learn to Be Brave was recommended. I bought it from Amazon and it's on my Kindle. I began reading the preface to that, and one of the first sentences was, "Feel the fear and do it anyway." Feel the fear and do it anyway. And I felt like I didn't need to read any more in that book. That's what you need to do. And actually, those are the exact words that was a title for a book that I read about 30 years ago. It became apparent that I needed to take leadership in my job at the county health department, and I was fearful, but I did it anyway. My first board meeting, I stuttered through the whole thing, but it gradually got better. The second is the beloved community is the framework for the future. The beloved community is what On Earth Peace has been calling those who have gone through the Kicking in Nonviolence training and meet together, usually online, to discuss what actions are needed to support each other. I envision it as being the whole church, however, because we've all heard these principles when our preachers have preached from the Bible. In 1 John 4:11, Jesus' cousin John writes, "Dear friends, since God so loved us, we also ought to love one another." And verse 12b, "If we love one another, God lives in us, and his love is made complete." Loving each other, looking at each other in love, smiling, we encourage each other to stay strong and do what is right. The third principle was attack forces of evil, not the persons doing evil. Well, this is kind of a summary of the word nonviolent. And again, Jesus gives us his example at more than one place in the New Testament, but at one of his most stressful times in his human life, his arrest on the Mount of Olives. A soldier comes at him with a sword, and one of his followers goes at the man and cuts off his ear. Even though that soldier intends to do Jesus harm, Jesus heals his ear. I like to imagine scenes from the Bible, and I can see Jesus looking this man in the eye with love and healing his ear, maybe taking a strip off his own robe and running it around his head, or maybe not. Maybe the ear just stayed there. But I imagine that soldier was just amazed that Jesus would do that. Well, you know what comes next. Accept suffering without retaliation for the sake of the cause. Clamp your mouth shut, relax your hands and your shoulders, and imagine Dr. King facing the sheriffs and the deputies and those growling dogs. The last of not getting the word, but the principles of the Spirit of God. The last is self-control. Help me with that. What is? fruits of the Spirit, that's what I wanted to say. I didn't write it down, is self-control. And I'm sure we've all tried to practice that all our life, and it's still sometimes a real struggle. But that is one of the things we need to strive for, as well as 5, avoid the internal violence of the spirit, as well as external physical violence. A number of years ago, The Message was a popular translation of the Bible, and it had Jesus' words written as follows. You're familiar with the command to the ancients, do not murder. I'm telling you that anyone who is so angry with a brother or a sister is guilty of murder. Carelessly call a brother idiot, and you may find yourself hauled into court. Thoughtlessly yell stupid at a sister, and you're on the brink of hellfire. The simple moral fact is that words kill. And the 6th and last principle is the universe is on the side of justice. This message of hope was first written by Theodore Parker, an abolitionist and a Unitarian minister. In his work of Justice and Conscience, his words in 1853, even before the Civil War, his words were, "The arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice." Here we are in 2025, and the arc is still extending. We can imagine a world of justice, but we're definitely not seeing it yet. If you think of all the words you've heard about the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, there's no doubt that justice and God's love for all people are basic to that ideal place where we all want to live. In the paper that I handed out, the 10 items that are printed in black are from a covenant that was developed by the beloved Community Steering Committee in this area, a guide for daily living in peace. One of the items on that is to daily reflect and meditate on Jesus' life. The fear that we feel is often from past trauma. And if that is the case, then that needs to be dealt with before you're going to be able to live courageously, as Dr. Martin Luther King did. On one of the tables back there is my notebook, and it says name, email address, and phone number. There's a dear woman named Judy Steckley at Lincolnshire Church of the Brethren who took on a project with another person in her church that's trying to encourage all of those who had taken the training or other people who are attempting to live in peace. If you want to sign up for her emails or her texts, she promises she'll send that out daily to you. In closing, before I close, I wanted to suggest to you this book. I love the Advent booklets that we get for daily devotions from the church and the Lenten ones. But this one put out by the Brethren Press, Speak Peace, the Daily Reader, is so rich. It just has history of so many acts of peace that have gone on by different people. And I just can't wait to read it every morning. I keep it by my morning medicine and my breakfast. In closing, I want to quote a statement that was put out by the Goshen City Church online on Luther's birthday. The witness of Martin Luther King Jr. continues to call us forward toward courage shaped by faith and love that resists violence. The work of just remains holy work, and peace is not passive, but practiced together day by day. For our benediction, let's sing together the song, Lord, let us now depart in peace, and use the Amen. Page in the red book, it's 680. In the blue book, it's 428. 680 or 428. Discover brightness.